and welcome to week 11 of Walk the Plank, the Perry Athletics Department podcast that takes a deep dive into the week that was Perry Athletics. I'm here with my co-host, Gene Winters. Gene, thanks for joining us as always.
Yeah, another exciting week around Perry, and now the fall sports are shrinking and winter sports are just beginning.
And we're going to talk to Mindy Allen too, my assistant AD and our middle school athletic director. Same concept there, wrapping up that fall season that was middle school athletics and previewing what we have coming down the pike here for our winter sports team. So we'll just start right off with Mindy. She's ready to go here and talk a little bit of middle school athletics. I know she wanted to highlight some of the accomplishments that we had from a middle school athletics for the fall season.
Yeah. So since I was on last, we did wrap up cross country. Cross country finished strong. Our girls and boys, even though we were small, the kids did really well. We had Jace Lander that came out and ran, so we had a complete boys team. And the kids competed very well and were very competitive all season. So we're looking forward for those 8th graders to come up to Coach Thomas and for them to keep pushing themselves and being an asset up at the high school. Then on that Monday after we had, after the DC trip, we had our soccer team, our boys, travel to Berkshire.
Yeah.
And just like the girls faced Berkshire, the boys did. It was a tough back and forth, but they ended up finishing as runner-up in the South bracket. So they had a really strong season, turned it on when they really needed to when playoffs came around. And then one of the things I wanted to wrap up after everything was done is kind of celebrate a couple of big things since we're pushing a lot of sportsmanship, academics, some leadership stuff this year at the middle school with our athletes, trying to get them to kind of step it up a little bit more than just what they're doing at practice and in their competitive fields. So want to recognize the middle school girls soccer team, and I'm going to kind of name them and we'll announce it tomorrow. So this will be the first. I wanted to do it here and not on the morning announcement. But our middle school girls soccer team, I'm going to declare them the middle school sportsmanship team.
Okay.
Of the fall season. They were really great. They have some really strong players on that team, but all the girls really support one another where, you know, you might get like Aubrey Hopkins scoring a lot of goals and she'll go off the field and she'll be like, Coach, why don't you move me to goalie? And then we'll let the goalie run the field.
Yeah.
And so like they were real supportive with one another, you know, cheering on the boys, like just really supporting one another. So really want to celebrate that aspect because, you know, sometimes kids, you know, and even adults get caught up in the I rather than the team.
Yeah.
And they did a really great job with focusing on the team and supporting one another. And then the other shout out I want to give to today, and I'll have another one for next week if I'm on next week. But I got to get some more data together for the next one, is the middle school football team. I didn't really give them an option. We just put on the calendar, hey, on these dates, you're showing up at volleyball. On these dates, we're showing up at cross country. On these dates, we're showing up at soccer. And the boys just really jumped all in. So we are going to name the middle school football team as leaders of the fall season, setting that leadership role for everyone else that we need to be out supporting one another outside of our own sports, outside of our own interests. And so they did a great job. They didn't just show up, but they cheered, they were loud. We had Chuck Thomas, who's going to be coming up here as one of my PSL volunteers. He came, Roz Tharp came, Jordan Rowan came, and they really came and helped. They kind of helped teach them how to be, you know, those fans. And that's what we really want to do. You know, the goal is I want to try to get more of our sports teams involved in supporting the other sports teams, creating a good student section, making the other kids like, wow, that's a lot of fun. Let's get there. Because we literally had staff members walk into the gym at volleyball and be like, oh my gosh, we have never seen this many people in here. It's never been this loud.
Yeah.
And that's what we want.
Awesome.
And we want to be
Great
able to
stuff.
pull that up. And, you know, and even outside, you know, Jordan Rowan, I'm like, Jordan, what cheers do we do? She's like, we don't get people to show up at our games to cheer. So like we had to create cheers on the fly. So I want to really celebrate like those teams for going the extra mile. They went outside of what's expected. And that's what we want. We want to keep striving for excellence and do more.
Well, and that's great because you're right. We do want them to move up. We want that mentality to start there at the middle school, be cultivated down at that level, and then by the time they're freshmen and sophomores and juniors, they're the ones up here doing it. We're always trying to get more butts in seats, if you will, more kids to come support kids because those oftentimes outside of the parents are the biggest fans that we can get. So, at the high school level, it doesn't cost a freshman through senior. It doesn't cost you a dime to come to a volleyball match, a soccer match. It seems we get great crowds for football. That's awesome, but it doesn't cost you anything. And so I think if that mentality sort of starts a little bit younger, and that was our goal starting
Yes.
at the beginning of the year, and you having the sportsmanship award and the leadership award for kids as well, recognizing those
Yes.
kids, and then we're recognizing our athletes of the week. It sort of all ties in together to make, again, Perry Athletics, a better place and a better experience for all, and that's
Right.
really the goal that we have.
Yep.
All right, well, that's good. Congratulations to both girls soccer, football for earning those awards and earning that. I saw personally at the cross country meet, the
Yes.
football
Oh,
team.
yes.
There's
I forgot to
videos
mention
out
that.
there that you probably, hopefully, some people have
Yeah.
seen where our entire football team was running with. I think the runner was from Jefferson.
We had Jefferson on one and
Yeah.
Chagrin Falls at another meet because
So
the
with
kids showed
that-
up to 3 different meets.
Yeah, that last runner, they're getting that last runner across the finish line, and a whole mob of kids sort of cheering on one kid, not even from our school. So I
Right.
think that says a lot, speaks volumes about the type of kids and families that we have here in Perry.
Yeah, yeah.
And let's talk a little bit about what's coming up here in the winter. You got
That's right. We've got Ashley Carilla and Danielle Alberts have already started our girls basketball. We started officially yesterday. We have 8 girls currently on the 8th grade team, and we're willing to add some more.
Yeah,
if
always
there's any of
looking,
you
always looking
listening,
on the girls'
come on
basketball
out. We'll
side. We
take
need
you.
'em.
And 7th grade, we have 7 girls right now. And so we're always looking to grow those numbers, but they've already started. They'll be starting games here in 2 weeks. So we're
Okay.
excited about that.
Yep.
And then on our boys' side, we have Coach Mike Phillip and Greg Morris that'll be coaching those. And they're going to actually be starting open gyms November 4th, which is
next
a Monday.
Next
Yep.
Monday the 4th.
So Wednesday the 6th, Monday, November 11th, Wednesday, November 13th, and then their last open gym will be November 18th, Monday, and that'll be here at the PAC in the field house, and that will be run by our high school coaching staff. So they're going to get a lot of really good work with Coach Isfano and Coach Grant. A lot of the kids work with Coach Grant outside the season anyway, so this is a great opportunity for all of our middle school kids that have any interest or maybe haven't tried basketball to come up and give it a try.
Okay.
And then we'll be having tryouts the 19th, 20th, and 21st. And we're looking to do some extra things. You and I have been talking,
Oh, yeah.
helping provide more opportunities for our middle school boys because we have a lot that are
Yeah,
interested
the
and we'd like
numbers
to
are
keep
really
them.
high on the boys' side and
Yep.
really small on the girls' side.
Yeah.
So it's sort of a unique, even though they're, the same grade, 7th and 8th grade. The numbers there's a big space between them. So we're
Yes.
hoping to grow those girls' numbers. And again, giving those boys those 5 days of opportunity to work with our high school staff in an open gym or a skill
Right.
development type of session to get them ready for their tryouts because those will be competitive.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So that wraps it up. Next time
right.
I'm going to do an all academic team
Okay,
for the middle
love
school.
it.
I've got to crunch all the numbers.
Yeah,
They
all
don't
right.
have something that'll do that for me.
Well, Mindy Allen, you do a great job with our middle school. Thank you for the middle school minute. That'll conclude your update
Thank
for this
you.
week. We'll see you next week.
Yes.
Thanks, Mindy. All right. Great info on the middle school stuff as we transition from that fall to winter time frame middle school sports.
And a little different in the middle school where the girls will start basketball first, play half
Yeah.
the year, then the boys come in. Obviously, facilities and scheduling and things like that help to split that up to make sure everyone gets a fair shake.
Yeah, definitely. And, the CVC made that change a couple of years ago. It used to be for many, many years, the boys would start, literally, they'd have a football or a cross country or a soccer match on like October 15th and October 18th. They were trying out for basketball, and it was just nonstop. And so they made that change where now The girls are going, but they're still pushed back. No one's trying out. Here we are. It's Tuesday the 30th. Our first girls practice was yesterday, the 29th. So it's a couple of weeks back, and it gives some space for the athletes in between seasons. And then, everybody's got gym space issues in Northeast Ohio in the wintertime. Everybody wants space. And but it's worked out well. This is, I think, our third year of doing it that way, where the girls will go about 2 weeks before the boys, and then the boys will finish about 2 weeks after. So yeah, that's where we're at right now.
No, that's the perfect way to do it. And then the other one that you don't have to worry about any space issues is football, because that's an outdoor event. And an impressive win last week against Hawkins, 68-0, and it was a nice way to, I guess, close out the regular season as now the playoff push is underway. Yeah,
definitely, and we're joined here by our left tackle, defensive end, Chuck Thomas. Welcome to the show, Chuck.
Ooh.
All right, there you go. You get your DQ certificate. Don't spend it all in one place, Chuck. You get a Blizzard, and you get a meal deal from the Perry DQ. Marie and her crew down at Dairy Queen do a great job of supporting the athletic department here. So enjoy your free food down at DQ. Let's just talk a little bit about that Hawken matchup that Gene mentioned, 68-0. Was that the plan going in? Do you think we're going to score 68 points?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Yeah, we looking at my film, look at their scores, their records. We thought they were going to be better, and we came out there. We destroyed them.
Yeah, it was 2 8-1 teams. So 8-1 versus 8-1. We had the News Herald here. We had some press coverage. Essentially, I mean, this was a sort of an afterthought to a lot of people. It was a CVC championship game. They're in the same division as us, and had they beaten us, we would have, because their only loss was to Gilmore. It wasn't a league loss, so they were undefeated in league play. So we come away with a 68-0 win. Like Chuck said, I agree. We totally dominated from start to finish. Special teams, we had Drew Smith with some sort of a block punt, sort of. I don't even know what that was, but give hats off to all three phases of offense, defense, special teams. Really, played at a very high level Friday night. So we're on to the playoffs, and let's talk a little bit about that. Friday night, this coming Friday, November 1st, we will host Akron Buckdell. I have to check the history books. I don't believe we've ever played Akron Buckdell before. Tell us a little bit about what you know about Buckdell and what they're going to bring to the table here Friday night.
Their line is massive.
Heard this. Yeah.
Yeah, their left tackle I think is like 6'6" something, like 380.
So you're not that. You're a left tackle.
I'm not that at all.
You're not that. Okay.
Their right tackle, Coach Perry said, Trent's going to beat this dude. And he's like 240 and like 6'3", something like that.
Yeah.
So he looks small on film, but he's bigger than all of us. I'm the biggest guy on the line right now.
Right.
And he's bigger than me.
Okay. Well, so they're going to have some size. I mean, they're 4-6 on the year. They play in the Akron City Series in that division or that league. They play some bigger schools. They do have a win against the Warren Harding team that perennially is a big Division II school, strong program. So they have the ability to play with us and present us some problems, obviously based on size and speed and things like that. But I'm sure as we enter to day 2 of practice this week, the coaches will have you guys ready. The last couple of years, those D5 games we've played in round 1 and 2 have been 50-point games, and we're done by halftime. I don't think that's happening Friday night.
Yeah, no. But we'll see, I guess.
Okay, sounds good.
Is it tough for you? A lot of these games this year, especially after the Kirtland game, have been a lot of blowout games where maybe you're only playing a half. Is it difficult to now maybe have to ramp it up and play a full 4 quarters?
Yeah. Kirtland was a real, Madison and Euclid before then were very, it was like maybe third quarter at the end. And then Kirtland was a lot. I think I played like 41 defensive plays. That's the most I've ever played ever. It was not excruciating, but it was exhausting. But I think with how we've been training a lot, I think we're more ready for it. Our scout team has been giving fantastic scout across the board, so I think we'll be ready. In some weeks, the scout's been better than the team we've gone against.
We've heard that a lot throughout with the football players that come in. So now, as you're a both offense and defensive player, how do you balance to make sure you're fresh for the entire game. Obviously, you're out there giving 100%, and I know you're not out there on every defensive play, but the time may call where you get a few extra snaps here or there.
I think I really just have to get water in on special teams and then just hope that I'm good. We're rotating a lot with the defensive ends. So, and then the past couple weeks with the blowouts, they've been trying to get the really good defensive ends, get them a lot more reps, so they're more ready for the long games. So I haven't had to worry about it in a while, but when I do, it's usually kickoff that I have to drink a lot of water and sit down.
All right, let's talk about a little bit back to those sort of unsung heroes, our scout team. So for people who don't know what that means, it's our reserve players essentially that line up and give you guys, the starters, each week a look at what the opposing team is going to do. So those kids who typically aren't getting a ton of time on a Friday night, even though in some of these, like you've mentioned, some of these matchups lately, we've had some blowouts and they've been able to play, which is great for their development as well. But then during the week, it's a grind for those guys because they're lining up and they're trying to be Akron Buckdale. They can't morph themselves into 6'6", 300 pounds, but they're going to give you guys a really good look of what type of defense that they're running and what kind of offense that Buckdale runs as well. So just talk a little bit about, I guess, that experience. You as a younger player were there, you were in their shoes, and you move your way up, and now you're a senior on this team and a multiple-year starter. But let's give a little kudos to those guys behind the scenes.
Yeah, the scout guys, they've been working really hard, especially now the youngins aren't really because the freshmen don't have games, the JV don't have games, so their individual that's not with the varsity is like trying to replicate the team, so that we're getting a lot of very specific reps, and they're really bringing it. Yeah. Especially the linemen, especially the running backs, they're doing really good, and they're really when they get up to varsity, they're gonna be good.
Right. And that's what you want. You want that development. You want them to practice hard. You want them, and then again, maybe they get rewarded with some time on Friday night if the game's out of hand. But it's really about development for those guys too. Like not only give us a look during the week and prepare us for our Friday nights, but looking for the future. At some point this season will be over. We hope it's in the state championship game on December 7th at 7:30. Whenever it ends, it's going to end, and you guys as seniors will have certainly left your mark here and made a legacy for yourselves, but then those younger guys have to replace you next year. So the fact that they're working hard and getting ready makes me excited, ready to go, for their futures as well. So let's mention those seniors, those 14 seniors that we have. We had senior night this past Friday.
Yeah.
Prior to Hawken, and we introduced each senior prior to. What's it been like playing with that crew of guys pretty much since you guys were little? Did you play youth football here? Did you play with those guys? How long have you guys all been together? Let's just talk about the senior class for a little bit.
Yeah, I've been playing football since 4th grade, and a lot of other guys like Owen and Walter have been playing since 2nd, 1st grade. But we've been playing together for a long time. Walter's been my quarterback since then.
Yeah.
So we know what works together. My left guard, Joey Baldry, we've been working together since middle school. So we work very well together, and we work very well together. We have a lot of team spirit, connection, and we know how to motivate each other and work hard games, which will come.
We had Joey here last week, so have you guys always been next to each other, both on the left side?
Yeah, I think so.
So knowing and being familiar with the guy, I'm sure that makes you more comfortable, or if a new play comes up or a new scheme, you can lean over to him or he can lean over to you and share what you guys are seeing, what vision, and knowing that you have that I guess safety blanket right next to you.
Yeah, it was 2 years of varsity football together in middle school. Yeah, we were very, very comfortable with each other, and we make a lot of calls. We're very communicated, and then our center, he gets in there too sometimes.
Yeah, good. All right, Chuck. Well, before you take off and get out to practice, we're shooting this again on a Tuesday. It's October 30th, so hopefully we'll get this out to the public for their consumption here later this evening. People can get it, but we're going to get you out to practice this afternoon. Just a couple of random questions here. Get a little bit more of a deep dive into Chuck Thomas and some of your favorite things in life here. So let's talk about favorite food.
Favorite food? I've got to go with the Baconator for sure.
Is that a Wendy's?
That's Wendy's.
It's Wendy's.
Yeah.
All right. I'm sort of up on my fast food, but that's what I thought it was. All right. Baconator. Favorite movie or show?
I'll have to go with Whiplash.
Whiplash. Can you tell me what that? I've never heard of that. What is that one?
It's a drumming movie where J.K. Simmons screams for an hour and 40 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. I'll have to look it up.
Yes.
We've not had that answer yet. How about favorite subject in school?
English, probably.
English. One of our first English
Yes.
answers. That's good. Coach Stavar will be happy. Best athletic accomplishment. This can be individual. It can be a team. It can be when you started in 4th grade all the way up to now your senior year.
I feel like every football player is saying the state game, but for me, I have to go with the Harvest Prep game immediately before that.
Yeah.
Because going into that, me personally, I was not confident in it, and it was a very hard game for me.
Yeah.
The end was really fast, and I am not really fast. So yeah, it was a very surprising win for me, and
it was, and people forget that. I want to focus on the Liberty Center game, which in itself was a fantastic football game as well. Self-proclaimed by Spectrum last year as the best game of all 7 divisions, but that Harvest Prep game was just as intense and physical and fast as the Liberty Center game. So I like that answer. Place to visit anywhere in the world if money was not an object. Where would you head?
I'll go with Italy.
Italy. Okay,
Yeah.
excellent. Any college plans? I know it's early still in your senior year. What are you thinking for the future? Anything in mind?
I'm applying to a couple places in
Okay.
Ohio.
Okay.
We'll see what really happens.
All right.
Yeah,
Chuck Thomas, starting left tackle, defensive end for the Perry Pirates. Congratulations on being our Perry Athlete of the Week. Best of luck on Friday against Akron Buchtel. Thanks, Chuck.
Thank you. And the other part of, obviously, football you see every week are the cheerleaders out there. And they had a big event this past weekend where they were at Orange for a CVC showdown.
Yeah, threw a couple of videos out there on Twitter and a couple of pictures of their performance over at Orange High School. The Chagrin Valley Conference does a great job of promoting cheerleading as a sport. And that's how we think of it here at Perry. I'm hoping most schools think of it that way. We certainly treat our cheerleaders as athletes. That's our expectation. But cheerleading is one of those sports where it's really hard because you're not competing every week.
Right.
There's no score to keep. It's a hard thing to do. So they get, at the end of the fall, it rotates around from school to school in the Chagrin Valley Conference where they host a showcase. And the girls and the teams get to go out there and show what they've been doing on Friday nights or Saturday mornings all year long, and having 25 schools together of cheer and fans all in one area. It's a pretty special event. And so I know, again, we might be biased here. There's no scorekeeping. There's no judging. This was a 10.0. This is a 6.0 type of a thing. But, again, I think we felt our cheerleaders really rocked it on Sunday out at Orange, and we're one of the top, if not the top, cheer performers of that, and again, not a competition, but of that showcase. So hats off to Coach Horsfall and our cheerleaders. Coach Bowman does a great job with our JV. So, the JV cheerleaders are over, but the varsity cheerleaders are going to be with us now for this run, however long it lasts, whether it ends this Friday or it ends, anytime between now and December 7th. They've got work to do, and they're out there cheering our team on. So congratulations to Coach Horsfall. We'll have, Addie Trebsker was one of our athletes of the week earlier on. We'll have Coach Horsfall on to the show. I'm sure she'll be thrilled about that. But we'll have her on, and we'll talk a little bit about what their season entailed now that we've got that showcase out of the way. So, yeah. And moving on to our female athlete of the week, I'm joined here by Audrey Morgan-Ard. Audrey, there is your Athlete of the Week certificate. Again, thank you to DQ for that. And Audrey, let's just talk a little bit about your season. Started off injured and a little, not able to race right off the bat. How did your season? Let's just put it up there in a nutshell on how you felt your season went, considering it started off sort of on the disabled list, if you would.
Yeah, I really struggled coming back from that injury with adjusting my goals, and that's something that I worked both with Coach Martin and Coach Thomas about, because I had some pretty far-reaching goals that I'd set for my senior season at the end of last cross-country season. And coming back from that, I had a stress fracture, and coming back from that and just kind of having to adjust my goals and being able to not let that be a mental block was something that I struggled with. But once I got past that point, I think it opened me up to have a pretty good last few races of my senior year.
Well, that's great. And I know that's, the Boardman Regional will sort of work in reverse order maybe as to when your season, how it played out. That Boardman Regional race is always one of the toughest in the state of Ohio. I mean, we have some just amazing teams in Northeast Ohio, and that's not opinion, that's pretty much fact. If you look at, from top to bottom, some of the times throughout the state of Ohio. So what was your mindset going into that race, not only for maybe you personally, but your team as well? What were your goals and expectations in that race, and what were you hoping to see?
Yeah, personally, I really wanted to focus on being able to be competitive and being able, we call it laddering up, like passing the next person and just like being able to focus during my race, and like in cross country, each position matters, each person that you pass matters because it cuts down on those points. Going into it, I don't think we were really, as a team, ranked well enough to like have me really thinking about like getting us out as a team. But I think we had Coach Martin said like he was going to buy us ice cream if we ranked high enough. So we were very, very much like still trying to do our best and like push ourselves and trying to encourage each other to like get out there and attack the course.
And it seems like obviously you guys have a tight-knit bond with each other. So just take us through obviously coming back from injury and not to go too far back, but you're on the sidelines cheering and watching everyone race. Then you finally get back out there. Obviously having Holly kind of in that same boat with you, did that help you maybe get through some of those tough times before you were able to get back on the course?
Yeah, definitely. So there was me, Holly Viss, and junior Anna Holp. Were all injured at the beginning of the season, and we were kind of like a little group, working out upstairs, biking, all of that throughout the summer and the beginning of the season. So that was like we had a little bit of solidarity there between us, and that like support that we had between each other. We kind of understood where we were coming from in like that kind of mental place. And I came back a few weeks before Anna and Holly did, but I think that once they were back and having those experiences coming back from injury, because that as an athlete is a very difficult thing to do, I think that we were able to work through that together as well, and that was important to be able to do.
And if we go 1 week back before Boardman, we'll go to Madison. And now you talked about the mindset going into Boardman. Was it a different mindset into Madison, knowing that you guys were back? It's a course that you guys are familiar with. Was there a different mindset for you guys as a team, or you individually going into that one?
Yeah, definitely. So Madison is their course I've raced now 8 times my entire career, and it's definitely one that I would consider like my favorite cross-country course to race. And you think, oh, like 3.1 miles, like you don't have a favorite 3.1 miles, but that's definitely like my favorite race. And it's like a little bit miserable on a hot day, and like that was kind of set up to be a little bit miserable, but I think went into it. It was they changed the course a little bit.
I heard that. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, so it was we had a little bit of like looking at things to do, and we had to change how we came at it a little bit. But I think that we have a pretty flexible team and adaptable team, so that was something we were able to do. We went into it. We knew the teams that we were racing against. We've run against. They're all people that are in teams that are in our area, and so we knew who we could beat and who we needed to beat to get out as a team. And I think that personally, like I was working for a position. And again, every place matters in cross country. So our first person all the way through our fifth person count towards our team score. And so that's every single person is trying to do their best to get our team out. And that was important that day.
Yeah, so, and we talked with Chuck a little bit about when he started playing football. When did you start running, or when did you start, was it before, he was a fourth grade, when did you start, getting into running?
Yeah, my first ever, so I did like road races and Just Run and whatnot.
Yeah.
My first ever road race was in like first grade.
Wow.
It was like, I had like an Arby's Happy Meal toy, or like whatever kids meal toy it would have been. And it was like a stopwatch, and I was like timing myself running around the house, and my parents were like, let's do a road race. And that was the start of it all.
That's awesome. Good stuff. And I know we talk about changing the course over at Madison, or what the changes that they made. I actually had a meeting with you and with Holly last week in regards to creating a cross-country course here at Perry High School. So let's just talk about that a little bit, and we'll talk about some other ideas that we might have that go hand in hand with that. We've not had a course on campus, at least to my knowledge, ever. Mindy and Coach Thomas really put a middle school course together for us last year. So we ran our middle school invitational here on campus in fall of 23, and then again this past fall. But now we're talking about that 3.1 mile course and trying to put something together for future. So you guys are trying to pay it forward a little bit and get creative. Let's just talk about, I guess, our ideas there, and are you excited about the process?
Yeah, definitely. I've been putting together some meetings with different people throughout the community and throughout other communities who have courses, and trying to put together like a trail that could be used for cross-country teams, the middle school and the high school cross-country teams, but also by the community, like as a community fitness trail. And so like the Madison cross-country course is used by their community as a community fitness trail.
Okay.
Just the other day I had a meeting with their head coach, Coach Verdi, about that, and I feel like we're getting a lot of the information we need and getting in touch with the people that we need to be talking to. And I'm really excited to see the direction that it's going. And
yeah, I'm excited too. I think it's something, we have always taken great pride from the time that this building that we're sitting here today was built 30 years ago. The idea was, we got a lot of money from the nuclear power plant, right, to build this facility. And so the administration, back in the day, wanted to make sure that the community was taken care of. And so now that's the Pirate Athletic Center, used to be the CFC Community Fitness Center. And so I love that the community is tied into it and that people can enjoy a walking trail here on campus, as well as benefiting our student athletes. So I'm excited about it. I'm happy to be part of the process, excited to be part of the process, and to see where it goes. If they're going to incorporate some woods.
That's the idea. Okay. We're gonna. It's right now we're looking at the area behind the middle school and behind Ridley Field to be like that kind of woods area, and we're looking at like having it paved with some gravel, and it'll be a nice, just some nice paves. Areas.
So what kind of running do you prefer? Holly last week told us she wants it flat. She doesn't like the hills. Are you gonna make sure that there's some hills in? What kind of track do you prefer?
I think definitely, especially because it's like community oriented, as well as like just keeping that in mind is important for me. Like as I'm coming up with this idea. And that's like, I really want to like try to keep like thinking like some like gently rolling hills are okay, but like not anything too drastic. Like I think the area we have back there behind the middle school is a lot less hilly than the area behind just like back here behind the athletic center. And I think that's why we chose that area as like what we're looking at.
No Vrooman Road Hill.
No, definitely not.
None of that. And then last thing, we also talked last week when we met about, and again, this trail sort of goes hand in hand with it, and creating getting back to the days of Just Run, Just Run program. You took part of that when you were coming up through, and I think it's really important, not only if we're going to have a trail to go along with it, but to help build our numbers at the middle school and high school level, and have that feeder program, if you will, for our runners, because it is something that is, Gene, I see you running out there
Oh, yeah.
from time to time. It can be an addicting thing. Like, people will really get super into it, and that's what we want. We want kids to be exposed to all kinds of different athletics and all kinds of different sports as youngsters, and then they can make those decisions as they go. But if we don't offer those type of programs, they're not going to know about them. So I know you and Holly, and hopefully with Coach Thomas and Coach Martin and Coach Isofano, we'll all sort of work together on getting a just run program up and running for spring here in 25.
Yeah, that's definitely the plan. I think Holly and I are really excited about it, and also using some of our student volunteers that we have
Yeah.
with the track team and with the cross country team. We have lots of high schoolers that love to like help out with those kind of things. Definitely, it's important, just like we have like your T-ball teams and
Yeah.
your Mighty Mites and all whatnot. I think that having that youth running is important to be able to bring kids into middle school and then up to the high school level. We're building our team numbers is really important to me, and like going and recruiting kids from the middle school is something that I've done since I've been a freshman. And so having that, building longevity within our program as a senior and
Yeah.
having that legacy is, I think, something that Holly and I really are striving to have right now.
Well, and that's awesome. And again, just your way of giving back and sort of paying it forward. We're really excited about those projects. Congratulations. Even though an abbreviated senior year on the cross-country course, you had an outstanding season. Obviously, you're sitting here, you're our athlete of the week. You've got your track season ahead of you. I know you're going to be working hard in the winter getting ready for spring track. So before we let you go, though, just some questions. And as to who some of your favorite things, some of Audrey's favorite things here. So let's start with your favorite food.
I would say pork fried rice.
Pork fried rice. Now, do you have a favorite restaurant, or do you make that, or do you have a favorite restaurant where you get that from?
I gotta say either when my mom makes it.
Okay, that's good. Good
or-
answer.
Yeah.
Mom's listening.
Right. Or there is a restaurant on Chardon Square that
Okay.
has pretty good pork fried rice.
Okay, excellent. Good little plug. How about favorite movie or show?
Favorite movie, 100% is Legally Blonde 2, Red, White, and Blonde. I say the full name every time.
Got to say
It's
the
a
full name.
requirement.
All right, I've not seen that one. I'll have to add it to my list. Favorite subject in school?
Probably like the humanities, English and social studies.
Cool. And then your most memorable or best athletic accomplishment, again, from youth all the way up through your senior year in high school.
I think that not like quite an accomplishment, but like just an experience I've had, definitely within the past 2 years, is within the cross-country team, is having built like a lot of a closer knit team and just having a lot more camaraderie between like within the teammates and within the boys and girls teams together, like being able to we've gone to Regal and gone to the haunted house and everything, and like going and doing breakfasts at people's houses and things that we didn't really do our freshman, sophomore year. And I think that just being friends with each other more than just teammates and being able to support each other.
Yeah, that's awesome.
from
And that's
that.
part, again, of the high school experience
Yeah.
that you want. You guys want to enjoy each other. Have good that good camaraderie when you guys are out there racing, and that pack mentality. I'm sure that has to help. So
Yeah.
that's very cool. And then place to visit anywhere in the world if money was no object, anywhere you want to go.
I would probably visit. I would really love to visit, like the, like Rome and Greece, and just like the history there is something that really fascinates
It's
me.
awesome. It's good stuff. I've never been, but I've heard great things.
Yeah.
So you're right in the same realm as me. College plans. I know it's still technically early in your senior year. Any ideas on what that's going to include for you?
Yeah, I'm planning to go to college to study speech language pathology
Okay.
and like hopefully pursue a master's degree beyond that.
Okay.
And then I'm also considering currently running in college and looking at that. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, Audrey Morganard is our Female Athlete of the Week. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Audrey. Thanks for coming on. Good luck. Let's stay in touch about the cross country course and Just Run.
Definitely.
Those are two things I'm really excited about. Thank you again for
Thank
coming in.
you.
All right. Audrey Morganard. She'll hopefully you'll be seeing her around out getting this cross country course ready and getting our Just Run program back underway. And we'll introduce our next guest. We'll go right along with our cross country theme here that we've had for the last 10 minutes or so. Our head coach of our boys and our girls teams will be joining us, Coach Chris Thomas. Oh yeah, you're come on up, Coach. Welcome in. Appreciate the time again. Our second visit with you, and just from the last time since you've been on, had some excitement. Obviously, we have another state qualifier in Holly Viss. We'll be heading down to Columbus this weekend on Saturday. Obetz, Ohio is technically the, in Coach Sarvis's words, right? He never says Columbus, but it's just south of Columbus. So she'll be racing, and she qualified again last week at that Boardman Regional that we've talked about. So hats off to you, congratulations, and to Holly on a great race. And let's just talk about a little bit about last week and how it ended up.
Last week, it was a good time. We had great weather. The course was in fantastic conditions.
Yeah.
Sometimes last year it was a little mushy, and it was a bit cold last year. So this year we were pretty lucky. It wasn't too hot. It was perfect. The girls ran really well with a little sickness going on through the team over the last 2 weeks, just like every other team here. So they battled through that as well. And we missed our boys. We didn't have our boy cheerleaders with us either. So they're a really close group, but they did very well for that day. They were 16th. We wanted to do a little bit better, but it's not far off for where we were actually ranked. I think if we were actually healthy that day, all healthy, we would have been a little bit higher. Okay. The CVC teams did very well.
Yeah. And again, that CVC, that Chagrin Valley Conference, again, not only Northeast Ohio, but the CVC specifically. We were CVC champs earlier in the year, but just a fantastic conference from top to bottom in cross country. And I know we're going to be well represented as a conference down at the state meet this weekend.
Yes. It's exciting. I'm excited to watch the race, actually.
And from the last time we had you on, I think it was like week 3 or 4, you were just starting to get some of the girls back. So from that time to where you guys finished or are still going and not finished yet, but what improvements did you see from that time to where we're at right now?
Just the cohesiveness with the team. The workouts have been better. Audrey, Anna, and Holly, when they were missing, we kind of were a little lost. I had Sadie Shirelli. Anna, before she got hurt, we put her in a position of leadership and put a lot on her. And just having the kids that weren't quite used to being leaders, Kate Farrell stepped up, and Sadie, they did a good job, but they were missing Holly and Audrey and Anna. The whole group was. So it just was, they had the ability to work a little harder, get a little more out of each workout, and then each meet, the more relaxed at the line. That getting ready, you walk the course, you get warmed up, you have people that know what they're doing, and you're not dealing with the younger underclassmen that don't really know the ropes just yet. You're not dealing with them and your own nerves. We had much more people on the same page,
and
so that's been nice.
Last week when we had Holly, or 2 weeks ago when she was on, obviously you want to be at full strength your entire season.
Yes.
But did you see benefits of getting a girl back every other week, or however it felt?
That was pretty interesting, because I know when I first came, we were getting ready to go to Tiffin, and Audrey had her first race, which she was so excited to run. She was nervous. It was a fun race. She's a little spitfire. Like I can tell just from her sitting here talking. She likes to race. She's very competitive. That was nice to have her back. Took a little pressure off of Hazel. Hazel and Kate. They kind of took over the team in the beginning, but it was nice to have Audrey. And then we had Holly a couple weeks later, and then Anna. Anna was she joined at You Want to Come Back in Madison at the same time Holly did. So it was interesting. It was nerve-wracking in the first. After Menor, we were just kind of devastated. I don't know what to do. The whole team, we were a little lost.
Yeah.
And they came around from Tiffin on, adding those people. So that's a good question. It really did. It was nice to have them come back. It was. I don't think it'll ever happen again,
Yeah.
but it was kind of interesting how it happened that way.
Just those ups and downs of what a season is in
Yeah.
any sport. You see, whether it's you're running once a week for 12 weeks like your sport is, or you're playing a game every week. There's going to be some weeks that just don't go your
Right.
way. You're not going to be at your top every single week. And so, again, just kudos to you and to the kids who battled through that.
Yeah.
All right. Like you said, after Menor, you're like, oh boy, like what?
This may be a
What
long
is
season.
going on? And then to ultimately peak out again with the idea of PRing as best you can every week, but to be in the top shape possible by the time conference rolls around. So you got CVC, then you've got districts, and then regionals, and then states. So those 4 weeks you want to be at your top. And they they competed extremely well against a very tough competition in the CVC. Came out as CVC champions. So we had first team was Holly Viss and
Holly and
Audrey
Audrey
and
and
Hazel
Hazel.
Cannonen, and second team was Kate.
Kate, yes.
So I mean, to have 4 of our top 5 or 6 runners place in a very tough again, just hats off to them. And I know the boys had a good year as well, and it's one of those things that they're just always building. And I'm excited to hear that the boys and the girls really sort of bonded a little bit, and that's what you want to see within a program, I would think.
Yeah. This team was, they were just a fun team.
Yeah.
I know on the boys' side, being younger, they didn't feel the success as
Sure.
much as the girls did, because the competition on the boys' side is pretty fierce.
Brutal.
Like the CVC, Jefferson's good, Chagrin Falls is good. All these teams are coming out of the woodwork, you feel like, that have these young runners, and they all have these youth programs that are going on. But
Yeah.
we're trying to get that feel and get that kind of culture here as well. But hopefully they can build from a little of the struggle from this year. They battled through the struggle, the boys' side. The girls had the same struggles, but they are a little of upper class heavy, so
Yeah,
they had a little more success in
Sure.
that regard.
Well, I'm
so.
sure you've seen that before, where a team might struggle one year, and then the next year,
And then next year,
something clicks.
Very
and it
much so
turns-
in high school. It can change completely. Just
Yeah.
adding one person and subtracting one person. It's pretty crazy how different it can be. You're right.
And then let's just talk a little bit about some of the things we talked with Audrey's, getting a cross-country course
Yes.
on campus. I give you and Mindy a ton of credit for getting our middle school up and running.
Yeah. Hopefully
and having
we can make it a
here.
little more exciting. We
Yeah.
tried to maximize all that space.
Yeah,
the space.
yeah, you're turning and curving all over the place.
I don't know how fun it is, but
Yeah,
it's a course.
It's flat, and it's a course, and we're able to host things on campus as opposed to, for many, many years, 30 plus years, we were going out to the outdoor Y. And, even though it's in Perry and they have a very nice facility, it's still a haul out there.
Yeah.
Running an event out there is not easy. Getting your team out there every day in a world where people don't want to drive a bus all the time anymore. It's one of those things. It's hard to get our kids out there. So the fact that we can have a course on our campus at the middle school level is a great start. But then as we work into the high school course, will you help Audrey and Holly and I'm sure Mindy will be involved, I'll be involved, but we'll all have different levels. But let's just talk about I guess the excitement of that, what that's going to bring to us potentially.
The convenience of having
Yeah.
it and a little more excitement as far as running goes. I
Yeah.
think it's not the easiest place to run with
Yeah.
a group of kids,
Sure.
or even if you have more than 3 people. I sometimes we're irritating. We're on
Yeah.
the road and we try to be
Right.
we try to be as good as we can and get
Yeah.
over, but sometimes we got to get places. So
Right.
we're going to be in the way. It'll be nice to have a place that's the community's and ours to go to, and we
Yeah.
can that excitement, I think, will help build the program,
Yeah.
though, because we'll actually have a place to go.
And then the
that'll be
Just
fun.
Run program as well. I know we've talked about this now with seeing what some other schools are doing,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's a Just Run program or offering some sort of youth opportunity to run in the summer,
Mm-hmm.
spring, summer as you lead into that fall. Let's just talk a little bit about that and what that can help us do at the middle school and high school levels also.
Just if we get it started and get the little bug in the kids' ear that they can run, it can help every other sport in all actuality. It is basic mental training as any distance run, as you're there with yourself trying to deal with one step at a time. But trying to get the community involved with the kids, if you can get them started at make a 1 mile race, get them together, a little training program, 2 or 3 1-mile races through the year, or build up to 2 miles, so they have the excitement and the courage to try out for the middle school team.
Right.
But I know many at Riverside, Madison and we would love to get one together if we could figure out how to do that just with the sizes of our communities.
Sure.
I'm trying to do the research and figuring out there's tons around the state that have them, and there's places we can run. So if we can get a group together to do that, I'm pretty sure that we can have places to compete other than just training here. Now, with the Just Run program and working at one specific 5K, there's that you could be a springtime thing because that's still going on. That would be a fun start too. But we got to figure out a timeline for this. So the minds of running will have to get together and figure out a good timeline.
Well, that sounds like a plan. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the course potential and the ideas to help get our kids exposed to it at a younger age. So they're not walking into middle school in 7th grade or at the end of 6th grade camp. They come back from camp and, try cross country. Maybe they're been at it for 2 or 3 years, and I think that'll help just build the program overall. So. All right, Coach Thomas. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Go get Holly a workout here. And best of luck on Saturday.
And that's going to be the interesting part. As you have Holly run this weekend and then into whatever might happen. I mean, you travel down to Columbus or a little bit south of Columbus and see what happens. Yeah,
it's a great race. The O-Bets really in that area does a great job. It's a nice course. It's a huge grandstand, and it's set up well. The state runs it well, so hopefully the weather cooperates and we're able to. I know it's potentially going to be warm here middle of this week. I know this weekend maybe not as warm, but that's okay. I don't think the runners aren't going to complain that it's not 80 degrees on Saturday. So,
well, as Holly goes for the state championship, you have other sectionals, and unfortunately a couple of losses last week for some of the teams as their seasons now have come to an end. So let's start with volleyball. Just because they only played their one game last week, but they had to go out to Woodridge and lost to a very good Holy Name.
Yeah, Holy Name, plays in a very tough conference. So they actually got seeded lower than us, and not saying we didn't deserve it. We were a 5 seed out of 38 or 39 teams. Very well deserved seed. We were 18-4 in the regular season. They play in a very tough conference with schools like private schools like NDCL and Elyria Catholic, and some of these perennial. Padua is their rival. Padua is a longtime state type of team. So they have a brutal schedule, and they have a lot of talented players on that team, and we do as well. They just got the best of us that day, and we had hosted them the week before. They played Orange here at we were a satellite site, so we had 4 teams here. We beat Lutheran East that day. They beat Orange, and then we met in the next round. And you could tell that day from watching them when they played Orange that they were for real and that we would have our hands full. And that's anytime you get into that postseason run, anytime you get, because we're going to talk same thing for girls soccer, you get to the district semifinals like volleyball did, like girls soccer did, you're going to play a good team.
Yes.
There are no, cupcakes, so to speak, at that level. You get to that area of the tournament, and you're going to run into good competition. So you've got to be at your best. You've got to be at your peak performance. And if you talk to Coach Raga and some of the girls, we didn't have our best that day, but they're very good. And take nothing away from them. Holy Name, they deserved to win, and they did. And our season ends. We were 19-5 overall, CVC champs for the first time in 4 years. So. A great season, not the way we wanted it to end, obviously, but then again, only one team in each division or in each region. Division 1 through 5 in volleyball is going to be really happy at the end because they're holding the state championship trophy. So at some point it was going to end. And I give hats off to our volleyball program on a great year.
Yeah, and when we had Coach on, he talked about going from his first year now into this second,
Yeah.
and if you take that big of a jump from year 1 to 2,
Yeah.
You would expect a little bit, something like that kind of leap again next year as he gets into year number 3 here
Yep.
with the Pirates. On the other side, the girls soccer, we had Coach Stavar last week. We had
Yep.
Andorra Porcello on
Yep.
the pod. In case you missed it, you can go back and listen. But they had 2 games last week. They won the district semifinal against Woodridge before losing to Wycliffe. But let's start with Woodridge.
Yep.
That was a very impressive 4-0 win with all the excitement and all the action coming in the second half.
Yeah, district semifinal again. You're going to get Woodridge was seeded like 14th overall. We were the 4 seed, and so you knew it was going to be a good match, and it was 0-0 at halftime. Not a shock. They wanted to take Jordan Rowan out of the game, and they marked her up with multiple people sometimes. So they were very defensive minded. The ball was in our half for the majority of that first half. We just couldn't convert on a goal. So 0-0. And now, as the higher seeded team, you always wonder, like, all right, are we a little bit more tight? Are we a little bit, all right, we've got to get over this hump. We're supposed to win this game. And our girls responded very, very well in the second half, scored 4 goals, 1 going away 4-0. That put us in the district final for the first time in school history. So, again, hats off to our seniors, to Coach Stavar, Coach Carino on a great year. Getting us to that point. They told me today, I think we missed out on the goal scoring record as a team by 1 goal. If we had scored 1 more goal, we would have, we're tied with the 2008 team. We would have gone ahead of that. And obviously 1 more goal, we could have prolonged our season as well, because that takes us into the Wycliffe match where, again, the first half was not our best half of soccer. But in the second half, as I told the coaches we met just a little earlier today, that was one of the best halves of soccer that I've seen us play maybe ever. And this is my 15th year of being the athletic director here, so I've seen a lot of girls soccer, and we came out focused and ready and hungry and took a 2-0 deficit and came back. Jordan had 2 spectacular goals. Their goalie was amazing as well. Stopped several of our would-be goals, but we tied it up with about 20 minutes left, 18, 20 minutes left to play. And Wycliffe snuck one in there with about 10, 11 minutes to play, and that was a 3-2 final score. We could not get that game-tying goal to push us to overtime, and therefore our season ended. But again, a great run, first-time district championship appearance, and a district runner-up trophy that will be displayed proudly. And I know again, hats off to our seniors. They provided great leadership, and but they'll have some people coming back next year, so we'll see where we go, and excited for the future with girls soccer.
Yeah, and I know we talked about Jordan a bunch this year on any of the podcasts that, week number 11 for the Walk the Plank. We've talked about her a lot, but to wrap up just her career, I mean, she had to have had almost 100 goals just in the last 2 seasons alone, coming back after missing her sophomore year.
Yeah, I believe she had 70 goals this year. I could be off by 1 or 2, but that's a record. And yeah, she's obviously our all-time goal-scoring girl of all time. Maybe next week I'll be able to put a little bow on that and give you some of the exact numbers, but that will probably be a goal that will stand for a long, long time. Her speed and ball skill is something that we've not seen here probably ever, as evidenced by the number of goals she has scored. And she's off to the University of Kansas. We'll have signing day. We'll talk about that a little bit maybe in next week's pod, what the signing day will bring. That's Wednesday, November 13th. That's also our Fall Sports Awards Day. So it'll be a busy day in the theater, Mr. Kellogg. And we'll sign at least, I know 3, 4, 5 of our kids will be signing that day. Jordan will be going off to the University of Kansas to play soccer for the Jayhawks, obviously a Division I level Big 12 program. So kudos to her and to all of the seniors that really gave us a really fun year of girls soccer.
And as those teams end, you still have football and cross country still to go. But usually we end with Mindy Allen. We started with her. She had to get off to basketball today. Winter sports with both swimming and girls basketball have now begun.
Yeah, swimming started last Friday. They were after it day 1 and attacking it thousands of yards every day in the pool, and very similar mentality to cross country. Like, I think when we have some swimmers on this winter, it'll be fun to ask them, what do you think about when you're swimming? Because it's the same thing as running. Like, I don't know, lap after lap after lap. And Coach Scheider, Coach Bush do a great job of leading that program and getting our kids. Again, similar mentality. You're always wanting to peak a little bit each week with the idea of that CVC and then sectionals, districts, and state level. You want to be peaking at that right time. So they were after it right on day one. Girls basketball started on Monday. Boys basketball is going to have some tryouts next Monday, and then wrestling starts the 15th of November. So we're sort of all over the place. There's no, unlike fall sports, that August 1 is your go date. Like, that's mandatory practice, August 1. All of our winter sports are spread out a little bit. But I know all of our athletes are attacking it and are excited and ready to go.
The one thing I forgot to mention when we were talking about football, and this will be the last thing, and
Sure.
Walter Moses passed Drew Schiano on Friday in the Hawken game for passing touchdowns. Now has passing yards and touchdowns as the all-time record holder here.
Yeah, as a 3-year starter, Walter, we figured it was just going to be. We've been looking at it for the last couple of weeks. And we've just been in some of these games. Again, no disrespect to any of our opponents. We've played really well, and we have big leads. And now you start thinking about things like, all right, are we running it up if we're still throwing the football? Are we being disrespectful in any way when we're doing that? And, the answer is, if we're doing it in the first half, probably not. But we do want to be cognizant of that. And so Walter got his touchdown, all-time career touchdown passing leader. I think he has 80. The record that he needed to get to was 80, so that's where he got to in the Hawken matchup. So now we're putting that behind us, and now I know all of our focus is on essentially these team goals now. It's just to win every Friday. We can put all that stuff behind us, but he broke both of those records were held by Drew Schiano. Prior to Drew was Colston Brewster, so our last 3 quarterbacks have all broken each other's records, so to speak. So Colston set some, and then Drew broke his, and now Walter has taken over Drew's record. So it's just one of those things. Hopefully it keeps happening.
Right.
It means we're doing some good things on the football field, and I know they're excited, ready to go this week against Bucknell.
So if you're a 7th or 8th grader, remember those numbers, because now you have something to strive for once you get up here to the varsity level. But another good week, another couple of sad endings for a couple of the teams, but again, fabulous seasons for both volleyball and soccer to close out their fall portion of the schedule. And now these athletes can either start going towards whatever's next or their next sport. Yeah,
for sure. And so it's always that bittersweet time of year where, again, if you're not holding that state championship trophy, you're like, you're bummed out a little bit. But we learn from it. We learn from our losses. We learn, again, for the kids that are coming back next year, hopefully on both of those teams, volleyball and soccer, the experience that they got in that district level match that we've never had experienced before. It had been 5 or 6 years in volleyball since we've experienced a district level match. Hopefully it builds for their futures for next year. And when they're in that position again, we can be a little bit more successful. And then Friday night's football game, is step one. Like I said earlier, it's going to be come on out. You're going to see a good football game on Friday night if you come to Alumni Stadium, because you're going to see some huge football players for Bucknell. They're going to be athletic, and it's going to be an entertaining football game. It's not going to be a 50-point. Now watch, Coach Gesowich and then staff will make me eat my words, but we're not anticipating a 50-0 running clock in the first half of this one. So just a couple of footnotes on tickets and things like that, because it is a postseason game. We can't have any passes, unfortunately. So if you have a CVC pass or a Golden Buckeye card or a staff pass, we can't take those per the OHSA rules. So everybody has to have a ticket. They're $8 for adults. They're $5 for students. You can buy them online. Look for an Infant Campus email blast out in the next 24 hours from Mrs. Ovens and from our office. You can also pay cash at the gate at any of our events as well, at any state event as well. So just be prepared. That's a little bit different. If you have a pass or if you used a pass in the past, you've got to pay for those tickets this week. And as we move through the playoffs, that's how it'll remain.
And I'm going to assume streaming this weekend?
We are streaming. That's one thing I give hats off to the OHSAA, especially if you're a student-led organization like we are, they allow us to stream the game. So we'll tweet that out, we'll email that out, what that link is, so you can enjoy it from the comforts of your home or your phone or wherever you're going to watch the game. But it will be a streamable game here for at least for our next 2 home games. That'll be November 1. If we win, we'll host again on November 8th. Opponent will be determined on Friday, and we'll stream both of those events.
And hopefully next week, John Camp of the News Herald will join us.
Yeah.
Had a couple of deadlines he had to meet on Tuesday with a couple of playoff previews, so that took him out of the running this week. But hopefully, following the win, he'll be here next week, and we continue to take a deeper dive into Division 4 and see what might lie ahead for the Pirates.
Yeah, and John does a great job. News Herald overall. Chris Lillstrung for soccer. Ben does volleyball. They do a great job at taking care of and getting our athletes out there, not just Perry athletes, but our whole area. They do a great job. So not shocked he has some deadlines. I think we had a record number of teams in our area, the News Herald area, qualify for the playoffs this year. So he's got a lot of things to get ready for Friday night. All games are on Friday night, which used to be a little different. They used to be both Friday and Saturday. So I'm sure he's got his hands full, but I'd love to have a conversation with him next week. Until then, that will be week 12 next week, but we'll wrap up week 11 of Walk the Plank here. Thanks for joining us. Again, get your podcasts by saying, tell your Alexa to play Walk the Plank, and she'll bring it right up. Apple's a little bit tougher.
It's getting there.
Okay.
I think I got it. I think I just have to use my own personal, but it's going to be there by next week.
But anywhere you get your podcast, if you put in Walk the Plank Perry Pirates, you'll be able to bring it up. We'll tweet out and send an email out with a YouTube link, with video link, or if you just want to listen to it, we'll send that out as well. Until then, thanks for joining us. Go Pirates.